Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much for joining, for your association. So today we will try to repeat what we have heard from the Guru Sadhu Shastra on this topic of demons in Krishna Lila, or demons in Vrindavan, and what anarthas they represent, and how we can take lessons from those pastimes. So please, we seek your prayers, blessings before we start this topic. So our humble obeisance at all of your lotus feet to pray for us, bless us. So for the next some time, we can try to be instrument for the pleasure of Sri Guru and Krishna on this wonderful topic of demons in Krishna Lila. So, you want to start?
Let's start with Jaya Radha Madhav. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari,
Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari,
Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Brajajana Ranjana,
Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana,
Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Brajajana Ranjana,
Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana,
Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Krishna Mother Ki Jai.
Let's start with Mangala chant first. Om Madhyantamirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Vashabhanavi Devi Daitai Kripavate Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Pradave Namaha Madhuryochvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaya Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddha Siddhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambar Sambodhi Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Avirbhava Bhumistvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya
Vishnava
Sarvabhaumaha Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gauratushe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakham Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Jai He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jaitam Surata Pangor Mama Manda Matergati Matsarvasya Padambojo Shri Radha Madana Mohanam Govindaranay Kalpadrumada Śrīmad Ratnagar Simhasanastahu Śrīmad Radha Śrīla Govinda Deva Prishthali Visevyavanam Smarami Śrīman Rasarasaram Divam Śrīvatatatastita Karshan Venu Swane Gope Gopinathaya Shristana Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai
Shri
Shri
Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita
Gadadhara
Gadadhara
Shrivasadi
Shrivasadi
Gaur
Gaur
Bhaktavinda
Bhaktavinda
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
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 Rama
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama
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 Hare
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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Hare Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare. Thank you so much for joining, and I'm very grateful to Grace Namni Kishori Mataji for encouraging me to 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 do this service. She requested me, she encouraged me in so many ways, and also to my husband, Shubha, who also encouraged me because I was very reluctant to do this, but both of them somehow convinced me somehow, because I remember one of my spiritual master's statement. He says humility is not that we keep on saying no, 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 but it actually means to give in to the desires of the senior Vaishnavas. So just keeping that aspect in mind, I'm trying to do this, though I'm still very unqualified to take up this service, but I'll try my best. And it is all based on what our Acharya says. And this is a very heavy topic, but it's just being taken by different aspects, by different readings that I've been doing, and lectures and observations and whatever I've heard before. So nothing is concocted. Everything is as it is taken from the different scriptures. So also before we begin, I would like to also share that we'll pick one of you at the end of the class to summarize the class for the next week, because it's a big seminar. There are many demons. We won't be covering everything today. So today is just introduction and demon now. But for the next sessions, we need someone to summarize the class in 5 to 7 minutes, not very long. Just take the highlights and summarize it. So we'll just randomly pick anyone. Any one of your name can be picked up. So you have to be just alert. Otherwise, you have to go back and hear the class again. So, okay. Coming to this topic of anarthas. So, what is the meaning of anarthas? Anarthas means something that is not required, that is unwanted in our lives. And Prabhupada in one lecture was talking about anarthas in general, like broadly, he was talking about the anarthas which are present in the environment. So he was giving various examples. So one of the examples that we can take is, okay, we created cars, and the cars need fuel, and the fuel emits some gases which are harmful for our environment. So that is unwanted. So we create something, but we're also creating unwanted things. We're creating things which are not required. So Prabhupada was classifying that in general, broadly, in our environment, also we see that there are so many anarthas. So even as devotees, we can classify anarthas as external or internal. So external anarthas could be our environment, internal could be our own devotional life. So about external anarthas, we cannot do much, but at the same time, we have to be alert of what we need in our lives. For example, as devotees, we know this principle of simple living and high thinking. So as devotees, if we are accumulating too many things which are not required in our life, then we have to be careful. Like for example, if I'm not able to fit my clothes in 2 closets and I need another closet and another closet, then that's something that I need to really look into. Do I really need that? Similarly, we're seeing there's so many devotees keeping so many refrigerators. Do we really need that? Why do we need so many refrigerators? In earlier days, people would do without refrigerators. They were eating fresh. So why do we need so many things? And because if we need so many things, then we need a bigger house, bigger place, bigger maintenance. Everything becomes bigger and more complicated. So we have to keep this principle of simple living and high thinking, which Prabhupada outlined in his lecture of instruction, purport. I think second purport. So this is a very important principle as devotees. What we do not need in our lives, what is complicating our lives and complicating our material life, spiritual life, everything. So we need to take that out, identify it, and take that out. Then there can be anarthas, which is gross and subtle, or which is within our environment, our spiritual environment. So gross anarthas is maybe someone is addicted to watching TV, someone is addicted to meat, someone is addicted to alcohol. So all these things are gross, are habits which are visible. And there's something subtle. We know there are 6 vices: greed, anger, lust, envy, pride, etc. The 6 vices, which those are all our internal enemies. So we need to fight them. We need to identify it and fight them. So, and it's also very important to understand that we cannot go to the subtle anarthas until unless we have dealt sufficiently with gross anarthas. For example, if somebody is still struggling with intoxicants or meat or other habits which are grossly wrong and not conducive for a spiritual life, then subtle anarthas will not go away we'll be because if we're eating, consuming things which are not conducive for a spiritual life, then our internal environment won't be stable. We'll have those because those have agitated mind. The envy would be there. There'll be anger. So all those things, everything is connected. So we have to take care of our gross anarthas, and therefore the picture of 4 regulative principles comes in. They're all very important. So we take care of our gross anarthas, and we see that when we take up to spiritual life sincerely, then these gross anarthas are the first one to go. They go first. We start to quit meat. We are nowhere close to alcohol. Then we stop drinking tea and coffee and all those intoxicants, gambling, and we try to be pure in our existence. So gross anarthas is the first one to go, and then we come to this subtle anarthas, which are plaguing us for a very, very long time. And they keep on plaguing us even in our spiritual life. So we need to identify them. So we know this, anyone can outline the 9 stages of devotional service, which are outlined by Rupa Goswami. Could anyone please try to outline them, just naming them? The 9 stages of devotional service.
Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha Ruchi, Bhava Prema.
Yeah, before Bhava is Asakti. So, attachment. So these are the 9 stages of devotional service. So we come to devotional service because we have little faith. And then with that little faith, we associate with devotees. And after associating with devotees, we get initiated. So that is Sadhu Sangha. And then after Sadhu Sangha, we start doing real bhajana. So after initiation, our real bhajan will start. Of course, initiation is not really important, or in the sense that how Raghunath Maharaj put, it's a formality. So eventually, everything belongs to consciousness. Even after initiation, somebody can be really careless. That is very much possible. But the essence is that our real bhajan, if we're sincere, then it starts after the initiation. So we start doing bhajan kriya, and then we come to the stage of anartha nivritti. And then we go different stages. When anartha nivritti is gone, then we go to nishtha, ruchi, asakti, bhava, and prema. So in asakti, His Grace Sankarshan Prabhuji was explaining that asakti is like that stage where if we are not chanting Hare Krishna, then we are having withdrawal symptoms. Just as an alcoholic, if he's not taking alcohol, can have withdrawal symptoms. He'll have perspiration, trembling, different symptoms starts manifesting in them. The craving is intense. So similarly in Asakti, we come to this craving stage where we just don't want to stop thinking about Krishna. And Bhava is volcanic eruptions of emotion, of love towards Krishna. And Prema is the full-fledged love for Krishna. So for most of the practitioners, as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes in his book Madhurya Kadambini, is that this Anartha Nivritti stage is actually the most prolonged stage in our devotional life. So most of us get stuck here. Even though, and if we look at, if we really examine it, we may be making progress in that, but it's a very, very long stage, very prolonged stage. And we may start thinking, are we even making progress? So, but Vishwanath Chakravarti, very in detail, he outlines that there are different ways to examine that even in Nartha Nivritti, we are making progress. So of course, we're not going into that detail because it's a very deep and different topic, but we'll be dealing with different stories of Krishna, and we'll be identifying our own anarthas and our own enemies. It's also very important to understand that when we are reading this topic of Anartha Nivritti, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that do not try to look faults in others, but try to look within yourself and then try to amend them. That is the real principle. So when we're reading such topics where the anarthas come, it's not that we start looking for these anarthas in other devotees. That is not the point. It's the onus of the spiritual master to look for problems in a disciple and then uplift that. Unless we are in that position of leadership or guru, we do not have any right to pinpoint or see those anarthas. We just have to turn the blind eye, or we have to see that I am also full of baggages and that devotee is also full of baggages. So we're all in the same boat, and all we have to do is just pray for each other and progress in spiritual life. But unless we are in a position to rectify anyone, and are not in a position of authority, then we must not try to look for these because they can become another anartha, the criticism. So we have to be careful with that. So this Prabhupada also outlines this, that our Krishna consciousness movement, our ISKCON, is a Nivritti Marg. There are two parts, Pravritti and Nivritti. Would anyone like to tell what is the meaning of Nivritti and what is the meaning of Pravritti? This we have read in Bhagavatam also, and this comes in Bhagavad Gita also.
Mataji, pravritti means with the desire, with material desire, and nivritti means nishkam, without any material desire.
Yeah. Pravritti is correct. Nivritti means you have to get rid of things which are not required. So we have to, in one sense, we can say we have to decrease our material sense gratification, or we have to get rid of something which is not required. Just as we say, okay, quit smoking, quit alcohol, quit meat eating. So these are nivritti. We have to minus these things because we don't need in our spiritual life. And so nivritti means you have to decrease. So anartha nivritti means you have to decrease, you have to get rid of these anarthas. Anarthas means unwanted. Unwanted things which we do, which are baggage, which is like dirt in our spiritual life. So we won't be able to cover up everything. I mean, I won't be able to do everything because this topic is very vast, very deep, and there can be deep philosophical discussions about it. And there's also my own shortcoming because I'm not perfect. I'm still learning in this devotional life. So there can be many, many different aspects to it. But I would just try to stick to whatever I could find out by my different readings. And so we'll go by that. And this topic actually will not make much sense to new devotees because, when we are new, when we are just fresh in Krishna consciousness, we are very, very submissive. We are very, very enthusiastic. We are very, very humble. We are like sponge. We are still learning. So, you'll see new devotees would be like, Mataji, can I do this? Prabhuji, can I do this? Should it be done like this? They're always so receptive to understand. But And the other section of people who will not understand is devotees who've been somehow hanging around in this movement for years and years together, but are careless in their practice. They're not very alert. They're just somehow coming for prasad or somehow coming for good music. They also won't be able to connect with this topic. The devotees who are really serious practitioners, who are really striving for purity in Krishna consciousness, they will be able to relate with it, because these anarthas are playing us when we are a little more comfortable in the Krishna consciousness. So we've practiced for some time, and after some time, we get all the honor, all the respect, because we've spent so many years in Krishna consciousness. So these anarthas, because of our previous conditionings, they start coming in the forefront. And an alert devotee tries to take them out, just as Lord Chaitanya says, there are weeds which will come in our devotional practice. So we have to uproot these weeds. So an alert practitioner, a sincere practitioner, a genuine practitioner would be able to identify these and take them out, or try to deal with them, or try to do something about it, take help if required. We won't be also discussing the solutions here. We'll discuss the solution of these anarthas at the end of the seminar, entire thing, because for most problems, the solution would be similar. So we'll discuss it all together. So one other thing that we have to also question ourselves is, why are we in this movement? Why are we in this Krishna consciousness? Would anyone like to answer that? Why are we in Krishna consciousness? Why are we part of this movement? What is it in for me?
To liberate ourselves.
Okay.
To liberate ourselves.
Yeah. So liberation for most people is a different concept, and in what Prabhupada teaches us, liberation is a different concept for us. So for a general concept, liberation, well, the other spiritual movements may be offering as well, but why are we in this ISKCON? Why are we in this Gauriya Vaishnava Parampara?
To go back to Godhead along and to preach.
Yeah, go back to Godhead. Yeah.
But
So, Mataji,
we are the part and parcel of Lord Krishna, and after coming in this world, we are forgetting that. So that is why we have to be Krishna conscious, and what is our main goal of this human life. That is why we are in the Krishna consciousness.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I feel that chanting every day keeps us away from negative energies. It gives the positivity.
But yoga practitioners may say, okay, you do yoga and keep the negative energy at bay. So we have to really think, why are we in this movement? Because it also will propel this topic of anartha, because we should have strong motivation. What do we want, so that we want to get rid of these anarthas? So anybody else would like to give it a try?
Yes, I would like to say, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Can I say?
Yes, please.
Actually, we are ignorant, and we have forgotten our relationship with the Lord. It's to revive also, to get connected, to understand and to know Him more, so that if we are dedicated and devoted, He reveals Himself to us more.
Yes, yes. Very close. Yeah. Just one word, or 3 words or 2 words, if somebody can say, it just actually summarizes everything. Why are we here? Okay, so Prabhupada was a pharmacist before he took sannyas. He was a householder, and his business was to sell these pharmaceutical products. And so pharmaceutical products are for treatments. So he would sell ointments, he would sell liniments, different drugs, different preparations for different problems in the body. But after he took sannyas and he became full-fledged in Krishna consciousness, preaching his movement, he was selling one particular ointment that is available to us.
Oh, Mataji, oh, Hare Krishna, Mataji, that is to spread the Krishna's name, to do Sankirtan, to know everyone about
Yeah.
Krishna.
Yeah. So there's a verse, Premanjana Chichurita, Bhakti Vilochanena. So he's selling, he's giving out, distributing this Premanjana. Premanjana means ointment of love. So that is what we are here for pure devotional service, to revive our love for Krishna. So once you've revived our love for Krishna, once you're situated in pure devotional service, we automatically want to preach. Our relationship is revived. So we have to focus on this pure devotional service, because if our devotional service is not pure, we won't be able to enter Krishna's kingdom. That is very, very important to understand. If it is not pure, if we have still something which is holding us back, we won't be able to enter Krishna's kingdom. So it has to be very, very pure. So therefore, we have to endeavor for pure devotion service. And in that endeavor, we have to get rid of anarthas. Because only one thing that is separating us from Krishna is this anartha, are these impurities in our heart. If somebody is having difficulty with dealing with gross anarthas, then something is seriously wrong with your practice, because that means, we should be getting rid of gross anarthas quickly. And when we come to this subtle anarthas, then we have a great battle to deal with. There'll be onslaught of different vices, different conditionings, different baggages, as we were reading with different demons, what they represent. There'll be different problems that will be coming because of our impurities, because of our conditionings. And therefore, we have to uproot them. We have to be very hardworking to take them out of our lives. So therefore, if we remember, okay, what is my intention? What is my motive in doing some service? Why am I here in Krishna consciousness? It's for pure devotional service. So my duty is to cultivate this pure devotional service. And if we focus on ourselves, then we can influence others. We can influence with that positivity. We can influence with others with our purity and our potency in Krishna consciousness. But if we are weak, then it will be difficult. So the movement has to be very, very pure. So everybody has to take this responsibility of becoming pure devotees. Otherwise, we'll be stuck here in this material world, battling with our own anarthas and different modes of material nature. So this, so whenever pure devotional service is available, we should purchase it. There's a beautiful verse. Krishna bhakti ras bhavita mati kriyatam yadi kutopi labdhate tatralolyam api mulyam ekalam janma koti sukute na labdhate. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. So one may be very, very pure, doing lots of charity, doing lots of puja, this, that, mantra, tantra, whatever. But this piety is not enough for pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness. It is just not enough. It can be attained only by paying one price. Tatralolyam api mulyam ekalam. That is intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without dealing. So this is a beautiful verse. So whenever devotional service, pure devotees are available, we should just show our intense greed. We should be just like sponge, ready to absorb. We should be so very receptive to absorb these principles of pure devotional service. And if every day we can think, I want to be a pure devotee, then all our actions, all our activities, all our thoughts would be very, very pure, because we have to endeavor for that. We have to show our greed to Krishna, and then Krishna will be able to bestow us with. So the idea of coming to Krishna consciousness is not to get good food, not to get good music, not to get good people, to associate with good people. But it is very, very intense. It is a good amount of hard work. Of course, just by having prasad, just by associating with devotees, just by being in kirtan, you can obtain Krishna prema. But because we are contaminated, because we are not pure, we need to endeavor. As sadhakas, we need to endeavor. Otherwise, we'll be stuck. It is hard work, and it may be a heavy topic. But those who are sincere, those who are serious, would understand the weight that this part carries in our lives, the anarthas that we need to uproot to attain pure devotional service.
Mataji, can you please be closer to the speaker of the computer? You are a little far away and it's a little muffled. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice class of.
And His Grace Adigadar Prabhu was mentioning when he was talking about Chankachura demon is that as practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, we're gonna encounter all these demons or anarthas in our life as practitioners. So these demons have been outlined, what they represent have been outlined by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, the Grand Spiritual Master, the great Grand Spiritual Master Srila Prabhupada, the father of Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. So as practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, we will have to encounter these demons or anarthas in our practice, because our conditionings will press upon us. We will bring our material consciousness, because that is what we've been associating with for a very, very long time, and that comes into spiritual practices. Why was I not given the credit for cooking? Why was not I given the credit for book distribution scores? Why was not I given the opportunity to give a class? So all these material conditionings of looking for name, fame, prestige, of lauding it over, will come in spiritual practices. I dressed the deities so beautifully. Why did not anyone mention my name? So if that is our intention, then our devotional service cannot be pure. It cannot be unmotivated, cannot be uninterrupted. But if we have only interest is to please Krishna, which is what this pure devotional service is all about, then our devotional service will be perfect, will be pure. And it doesn't matter if somebody appreciates us, if we are noticed or not noticed. If Krishna is noticed, we are happy, and that is pure devotional service. So also Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he uses different stories actually to teach different aspects of devotional service. He uses different anecdotal pastimes, some stories from general stories that he would use to deliver something very heavy. And I would like to read one of the stories, which is entitled Lalu and Kalu. A grocer had two sons, Lalu and Kalu. He wanted them to learn basic measurements on a weighing scale, and as such, he entrusted his boys to a tutor. The boys were so unruly and naughty that a number of tutors proved themselves unable to impart this minimum instruction to them. Finally, the grocer had to declare that he would give away half of his grocery business to anyone who could educate his two sons in numbers up to 100 at least. These two boys were, however, full of so many vices that they became addicted to smoking, even though they were still infants. A poor old Brahmana, being allured by the lucrative offer, took the job of teaching them. The father made a very stringent arrangement so the boys would always stay with their tutor. One day, Lalu and Kalu went out for a stroll and along with their tutor. As they were walking, they came across a cow, and the tutor asked Lalu, "Could you say how many legs this cow has?" Lalu started counting the cow's legs. 1, 2, 3. All of a sudden, Kalu stopped his brother by closing his brother's mouth with his hand and saying, "Oh, brother, don't count. He will try to cleverly teach you numbers." Lalu therefore stopped counting as he could realize the crafty teaching method of his tutor. Another day, Lalu and Kalu were taking rest in one room along with their tutor. Both of them started snoring as if they were in deep sleep, so that the tutor may take them to in deep slumber. Their tutor, knowing that his pupils were asleep, decided that he would also take rest. After a while, Lalu and Kalu began trying to ascertain if the tutor was asleep, and being assured, they got up and went outside to smoke to their heart's content. After finishing their cigarettes, they returned to the room and pretended to be sleeping again. After a while, when the tutor woke up, he smelt a strong odor of smoke inside the room. Immediately, he roused the boys from their sleep, they were not sleeping, and he started inquiring about the smell. His suspicions were confirmed when he smelled their hands. Lalu and Kalu, rubbing their eyes, started pleading, "Oh, sir, we know nothing about this." The tutor chastised them. "Why are your hands smelling of smoke?" Lalu and Kalu continued to defend themselves, crying, "Oh, sir, we fell asleep before you. We are just waking up now. How could we be smoking, sir? But it's possible that some rascal was smoking with the help of our hands, without our knowledge, while we were asleep." So this is now purported by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Those who are determined to accept no advice or instruction for their self-development are reflected in the mode of character as revealed in these two cunning boys. Quite often, many of us do not like to pay any heed to the messages and instructions in our daily activities, only because of our apprehension that they might lead us to a domain of peace and welfare. Just like Lalu and Kalu, the majority of common people never accept the way to real welfare and happiness. They would prefer a pretension of keeping the association of saintly persons while continuing their activities of sense gratification in wealth, women, and wine. Because we are unable to give up our hypocrisy and sense of foolish individualism and independence, that saintly persons fail to lead us to real wisdom. Whenever our spiritual master sees our inclination to such unworthy activities, we make an attempt to defend ourselves with a false plea that we are not really interested in such activities and that it is merely that some unscrupulous religious or social leaders have forced us to become engrossed in them. By nature, all mischievous persons act like this, and they put all the blame upon others in order to conceal their faults. They try to project their thirst for sense gratification onto honest persons. So the point is that if we are not inclined towards our self-development, then nobody would be able to help us, even though the advice is available. So there's so much ample information and ample guidance available unless we are inclined to take up this part of self-development, removing these anarchies for our own welfare and our own peace, then we won't be able to progress in our spiritual life, and nobody will be able to help us with that. So when we come to ISKCON, after a couple of years, and depending upon situations and congregation dynamics, we become senior devotees, maybe after 6 months, maybe after a year, maybe after 5 months, or 5 years, sorry. So we start getting a lot of name, a lot of fame, a lot of prestige, and wealth if we are like fundraising or something. So we are exposed to all these things. His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu was explaining that we get so much power sometimes when we come to Krishna consciousness that when there's a senior devotee, everybody just starts paying dandavats, and everybody's like, "What can we do for you? What can we do for you?" There's so much power, so much name, so much respect, so much honor that we are exposed to. And all this, if we try to start enjoying it, then it becomes like a poison for our own spiritual lives. So we have to be very, very, very careful in identifying all these things. And if somebody is honoring us in such a way, then we have to be very, very introspective. Very introspective. What am I doing to even accept such honor? Sometimes, because that's the culture, even very new devotees would start respecting, devotees with whom they're associating with, and we may try to enjoy all that glorification. But we have to be, again, very, very careful. Otherwise, we strangulate our spiritual life. We are choking our spiritual progress. Therefore, we have to understand the importance of the identification of these hierarchies. We have to identify our enemies. When we know what the enemy looks like, when we know where the enemy is hiding, we can attack at the right time with the right weapon. But if we do not know, if we are oblivious, if we are careless, then the enemy will be attacking us silently, eating us up. And we won't even realize that. And we stop our progress in spiritual growth. So when we have to influence our own Krishna consciousness and others' Krishna consciousness, we have to really touch others' lives with pure Krishna consciousness, then it requires spiritual potency. And spiritual potency comes when we are spiritually pure. With the purity comes spiritual potency. So we have to be we have to take this service of cleansing our own selves. Cheto Darpanam Marjan, we have to clean ourselves daily and make sure that we are spotlessly clean, we are perfect in our pure devotion to the Lord. And then we will be able to influence our lives positively and others' lives also very, very positively. Because that is seen, that is felt. We see that devotees who are very, very sincere in their practice, they're very effulgent. There's natural effulgence to them, and we naturally want to take their association because of their purity. So we have to be very introspective, we have to be very aggressive, we have to be very, very diligent in this cleansing process, in getting rid of these anathemas, in getting this crud out, in getting this baggage out of our lives. And we have to be very, very mindful, introspective, aggressive about the progress, and we also have to understand that what Prabhupada is giving us is complete in ourselves. Sometimes people say, "Oh, let's it's what Prabhupada gave some 50 years back was relevant then, and it's not now relevant. We need to lax ourselves. We will not able to cope up." So we have to get this idea out of us. When we know this medicine works, we see that change in Prabhupada's disciples. They're so pure in their conduct because they took the medicine from Prabhupada as it is. The transcendental pharmacist, the Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, they took the medicine as it is. So it's working. It's definitely working. So we do not have to change anything. ISKCON is complete in itself. ISKCON is like a desire tree. What we want, it will give us. Because it's part of the spiritual world. It's part of Krishna. So it is complete. What we want, we will get. If we want name, fame, prestige, it will give us. But if we want pure devotional service, it will also give us pure devotional service. So we also have to understand that what is keeping us here is our anarthas. Where are these anarthas? In the subtle mind. So the gross mind, the gross body goes away with time. It goes away, and we take another gross body. We take another gross body. So gross body is not real problem. The real problem is the subtle body. So we have to. The subtle body is keeping us here. The subtle body is imprisoning us here in this material world. So real work is inside. When we work inside, when we work internally and diligently, then pure devotional service will be awakened. It will be revived. And this is the most wonderful, most exciting adventure of our lives. And what is that? Struggle for pure devotional service. So it's contrary. We're saying struggle for pure devotional service. Yes, it is a hard work. There is a lot of hard work. And we cannot take Krishna consciousness just very lightly. Just some good food, good prasad. We have to work really hard on our certain body. So if one thing that we can think in the morning is that I want to be a pure devotee, then it's the most exciting, most adventurous aspect of our life, that we are struggling to become pure devotees. So his Grace and Karshan Prabhu says, so we have to be very, very diligent, not just when we are in front of others, but also on our own private space. When we are by ourselves, it is very important to be pure devotees as well. So it's very easy to make a show, in front of others. Yes, Prabhuji, yes, Mataji, and different aspects of devotional life we can say. But what are we doing by ourselves is very, very important. It's so important. So he says that what do we do when we are by ourselves? What do we do when we are alone? That is real integrity. So if that integrity is there, then there'll be positivity. So before I asked Vilas Prabhu to take over and just read another story from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's stories that he would say. So this is a story of a woodcutter. So this is a story of a woodcutter. The story is entitled Prudence of a Woodcutter. A woodcutter planned to go to the forest of Sundarban for collecting wood. Sundarban is full of wild animals, so an experienced person warned the woodcutter that it might be fatal if he enters the forest without being adequately armed. But the woodcutter retorted, saying, I would like to disprove the unfounded notion of common people that one should enter a forest with arms. I will expose my foolishness to carry coal to a Newcastle coal field. There are so many big trees in the forest. If I use a broken branch from one of those trees, all the wild animals will run away here and there. If I see any animal approaching, I will break a branch from a tree and threaten the beast so that it won't dare come near me. It will run away when it sees me wielding the branch. The woodcutter thought himself to be very prudent, but he did not have the basic common sense that his speculation would be of no use in case a tiger jumped upon him suddenly and bit off his head while he was breaking a branch from a tree. He would neither be able to get hold of a branch nor could he kill the tiger. Instead, he himself will be killed. Actually, that was the case. After a few days of the woodcutter's entering the jungle, information came that a small tiger had very easily jumped on him and enjoyed his blood and flesh without any problem. In fact, when he saw the tiger, the woodcutter began cutting a branch of the big tree to make his weapon to fight with the animal. But before he could finish, the tiger attacked him and he was killed almost immediately. So purport by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So what happens, the analogy that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying is that yogis try to control their material senses through laborious methods of physical feats, but quite often six inherent and cardinal passions and vices of man like curiously untamed tigers. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is comparing our vices to untamed tigers. May jump upon him and start sucking his blood. In this event, it is quite possible that one may fall prey to agitation of the senses. On the contrary, those passions become conducive to his devotional service and the transcendental influence of devotion to the Supreme Personality of God. So, we can understand that for a devotee, all the vices except for envy can be utilized in Krishna's service, but it has to be purified. One other aspect is the yogis try to control their vices, control their mind by the dint of their own ability. That's the main difference between a yogi and a bhakti yogi, that they are dependent on themselves for doing the job. But the problem is that until unless they're purified, they won't be able to control their vices. The devotees who are dependent on Krishna, who are dependent on Guru, who are dependent on sadhu, will be able to cross over that problem. So definitely we have this problem of anarthas, but with the help of devotees, with the help of the Lord, by their causeless mercy, we will be able to cross over these anarthas. So I will stop here and I will ask Vilas Prabhu to add something if he has to add, and then continue the story of Putna. Any questions, any comments, anything else that somebody would like to add?
You explained so nicely. I am really amazed at the depth of your knowledge. Thank you so much.
It's all taken through my readings.
Mataji, very nice format you followed. The different ideas you said is very nice. Thank you so much, Mataji. Very nice flow.
Is the voice audible? Is it clear?
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, Mataji, I have a question for you. Did you start your this Hare Krishna involvement and all your progress? Was it before the marriage? How were you before the marriage? And obviously, you progressed a lot now. I hope you don't mind that question. It's just, I don't want to embarrass you, but
Prabhuji, yes, Prabhuji, I was introduced before marriage. So before marriage, I've been practicing for 5.5, 6 years, I think 5.5 to 6 years. Yeah, so I was very fortunate to be with these devotees who are just amazing, and they're just really amazing, and I miss their association so much. They were, I mean, whatever I know is because of them. So, yeah.
thank
These
you.
are the chances.
Thank you very much. You have made a lot of progress, no question.
No, Prabhuji, I have long, long way to go. That's what I've realized. There's a long, long way to go.
Mataji, I have a question.
Yes.
Very nice class, Mataji. Thank you very much. Dhanyavad Pranam. Mataji, you told like about pure devotional service. So pure devotional service is very, very tough, Mataji. So person like me, such a fallen person like me, how I can how it will apply in my case, my situation, like to get that pure devotional service. Mataji, how can you please explain?
Yes, pure devotional service. Our Guru Maharaj also writes, we have a list of instructions, and he writes, pure devotional service is rare. And sometimes I think of it, and I realize that pure devotional service is also rare amongst devotees, because there's a big movement now, and we have lots of different people coming with different baggages, and not everybody may be aligned for pure devotional service. So you have to seek the association of pure devotional service. Also, very important aspect is that we'll also cover with Putna, is that how sincere we are. And if we are sincere, Krishna will guide us to pure devotees, and Krishna will give us that path. But it depends upon our sincerity. I mean, I will discuss with more with Putna, definitely, because there's something, some lesson there. But the point is how sincere we are, you know. And if we're sincere, Krishna will arrange pure devotees. And as we were discussing this beautiful verse, that only and only price that we have to pay is intense greed. So when we see devotees who are of that caliber, who are of that stature, where we can understand they're really mature, and all they want to do is talk about Krishna and give Krishna and share Krishna and nothing else, then we must take their association as much as possible. And if we take their association, we become like that. We become like them, because that's what devotees do. You know, if we want to be cheated, then Krishna takes us to cheaters. But if you want to be really sincere, then just be with devotees. It becomes easy. All we have to do is seek these association of such devotees. And when we get there, just don't leave them and be with them. And in that flow, definitely we become pure devotees. Definitely it's very rare. It's a lot of hard work, but it's not impossible. That's what Sankarshan Das Prabhu says, that it's not possible. He gives seminars on pure devotional service, spiritual purity, Uttama Bhakti. And he says it's difficult, definitely difficult, but it's not impossible. We have to endeavor, because in one sense it's our true nature, isn't it? Even though we have been covered by our conditionings from time immemorial, but our real nature is actually pure devotional service. So all we have to do is revive it, and reviving may take some effort. It's a slow process, but we'll get there. And as long as we're sticking with devotees' instructions, what they want us to do, if we try to do our best, then the mercy flows. The more we do what they're saying, the mercy flows. And the mercy flows, then Krishna notices us. And Krishna notices us, and he bestows us with pure devotional service. Does it help, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you.
So it's almost 10 a.m. Should we cover Putna in 15-20 minutes? Or can take some time? Is that okay? to talk about Putana and the anartha she represents. Is it okay, everyone, to sign up for that?
It was quite rational and philosophical reflection of devotion.
Thank you. So now we will share some story because we all like story.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way because we have a story and then we can go into the philosophy also. So it's a beautiful way of meditation, meditating on Krishna's pastime and learning at the same time.
Okay, so let's start this wonderful story of Putana. I'm sure we all have heard this wonderful story of Putana multiple times, or seen videos. But nonetheless, whenever we hear Krishna Gatha, whenever we hear Krishna's name, form, qualities, or anything in association with the Lord, it purifies us. It is all purifying. So Srila Shukdev Goswami mentions in Canto 10, Chapter 6, the story of Putana is mentioned. So generally first Shruti is at the end of the chapter, but I want to mention that at the beginning of our discussion about Putana, that any person who hears with faith and devotion about how Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, killed Putana and thus invests his hearing in such childhood pastimes of Krishna, certainly attains attachment for Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we were talking about pure devotional service. One of the ways to attain pure devotional service is to hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and especially the name, form, qualities of the Supreme Lord. Shravanam is the first limb of Krishna consciousness, as Prahlad Maharaj says in his verse, Canto 7, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Adisevanam, etc. So let's hear this beautiful story of Putana. And one may wonder what happens when we hear. So in the same chapter, the background is that Nanda Maharaj is gone to pay taxes to King Kamsa, because Kamsa was the ruler. And Nanda Maharaj in Gokul Mahavan, from Gokul, he goes to Mathura to pay taxes. And then he's feeling some kind of danger because Vasudeva is cautioning him, because Kamsa had already made plans to kill the babies in Gokul Mahavan. So therefore, Nanda Maharaj is in spiritual anxiety. We were talking yesterday about peace, but spiritual anxiety is much beyond that so-called peace. Mata Yashoda was always in anxiety about Krishna. Nanda Maharaj was always in anxiety about Krishna. That's because they had pure love for Krishna. So, and now even Parikshit Maharaj is in anxiety because Nanda Maharaj is in anxiety. So Shukdev Goswami in text number 3 is mentioned a beautiful point that, my dear king, referring to Parikshit Maharaj, wherever people in any position perform their occupational duties of devotional service by chanting and hearing Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, there cannot be any danger from bad elements. Therefore, there is no need for anxiety about Gokula, while the Supreme Lord is present. Such a beautiful verse to meditate upon. That whoever is hearing Krishna's pastime, whoever is chanting Krishna's holy name, Yatra Gayanti Mad Bhakta Tatra Tishtami Narada, Krishna is personally present. And where Krishna is present, what can Putana do? She cannot do anything. What can the demons do? The demon cannot harm a person who is sincerely chanting, like Haridas Thakur, like Prahlad Maharaj, like so many of great sages. So here comes Putana, Khechari, Balghatani, desiring to kill the infants, the newborn babies in Vraja. Kamsa deployed all these Rakshasas to kill Krishna. And then she comes, Putana Airlines. She comes down, and then how can she enter Vrindavan? Her original form was very wicked, like a witch, very, very long. We will see later she becomes 12 miles long. But to enter in Vrindavan Dham, in Brajadham, she takes the form of a beautiful damsel, a very, very beautiful damsel with beautiful features and garland of flowers and nice face painting and uh, and all the gopis, the gopas, everyone was enamored, including Mata Rohini, including Mata Yashoda. They were all enamored. They thought that there's some Apsara come from celestial planets, and everyone was so enamored that no one questioned that we have never not seen you in this place before. Where have you come from? So, but actually, she was a demoness sent by Kamsa. Kamsa was so wicked because of his false ego. That's an important lesson. That one could give the order to kill the innocent children. Hmm. Especially in this day and age, also we see innocent animals, cows, calves are killed. Why? Because of the evil-minded Kamsa mentality, the Kamsa-like people. So Putana was very, very expert in killing the young children. So she came and no one questioned. And basically, Putana also had in her previous life, she was the sister. In some places it's mentioned the sister, Ratnavali. In some places it's the daughter of Bali Maharaj. And she developed a desire to feed milk to, to Vamandev. When he came to beg for 3 steps of land as a dwarf incarnation. And then therefore, and then when he took the land, then she said, well, he is so wicked, he is so evil, let me kill. But Krishna is so merciful. He is the desire fulfilling tree. He fulfills both the desires parallelly. So then she came as Putana so that she could feed the milk and she could also try to kill. Well, who can kill Krishna? But here is an important point here that although she had the attire of a mother, her attitude was not of the mother. It's a very, very important point, which is Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu was mentioning, that she had the attire of the mother. Yes, a couple of days back, we were also reading this in the Samudra Manthan Lila, that how Rahu got the attire of a demigod, but he did not have the attitude of devotion as a demigod. Similarly, in our life, we should not take, as Manjulali just mentioned, we should not take just the attire of devotion. We should take the attitude of devotion so that we can make wonderful spiritual progress, external and internal. She was mentioning to the external and the internal anarthas. If we can't even try to solve the external anarthas, how can we work on internal? Of course, internal is much, much more important. But here, Putana, she took the attire of the mother, not the attitude of the mother, like the dress, Karmi's dress as a devotee. And then what happened? She took Krishna in her lap, and Shukdev Goswami mentions as if a person takes a snake in one's lap thinking as a rope. Only an ignorant person will take snake in one's lap thinking it to be a rope. So Putana thought Krishna is just an ordinary boy and I'll just kill him in a couple of seconds. And not only that, she had smeared, because she wanted to feed milk and that was her plan to kill. So she had smeared Kalakuta wish to feed Krishna, that poison which was sufficient to kill hundreds of adult men in couple of in moments. So she had smeared that poison on her breast so that when she puts her breast in the mouth of baby Krishna, he will immediately be dead. That was her wicked plan. Very, very evil plan to kill the baby. And but Krishna, no one else could recognize this plot. Now someone may question, well, all of these are Nitya Siddhas, Devaki or Yashoda Mata, Rohini Mata, the Gopis, how could they not understand the evil plot? How could the evil plot work in Vrindavan? The answer is because of Krishna's lila shakti. The yoga maya potency made them forget that this is, an evil Rakshasi, and they thought this is some damsel, some apsara, and if she feeds our baby milk, the baby will get stronger and healthier and powerful. So now she took the baby Krishna in her lap, and our little Kana, our little Krishna, he closed his eyes. And Acharyas gives wonderful, wonderful lessons why he closed his eyes. There are many, many lessons, many, many reasons. First is, well, the first demoness has come. The first demon is a she demon. Kamsa was basically falling woman first, ladies first, I guess. So she sent the Putana demon. Like, in first the kids, they are given like Barbie doll or this dolls, and then they sent helicopters, Pranavrata. So Nanda Baba, the uncles bring different toys. So uncle was sending different toys, but what do kids do? Kids break them. They don't last very long. So his mama, Krishna's mama, Kamsa mama, was sending different toys in the form of demons and demonesses, and Krishna was killing them one after the other, breaking them. So it said, first demon, that to woman. I said, dharma is to protect the woman. How can I kill the woman? So he closed his eyes. Then Krishna said, well, my glances are all auspicious. When we wake up the deities, there is a wonderful verse in the deity worship manual. Jaya Jaya Kripa Moy Sarva Jagatera Nath Sarva Jagatera Kuru Shubha Drishtipat. Shubha Drishtipat. Krishna, you get up and you give your auspicious glances upon the whole world. Shubha Drishti. Being present in the front of deities is Shubha Drishti. We are so blessed, we are auspicious, we are fortunate. As Lakshmi Devi, we recently read in the Samudra Manthana, she is on the chest of Lord Vishnu in giving her auspicious glances to everyone who comes to worship Lord Narayana or Lord Krishna. So if I give her Shubha Drishti, then she will be all purified, and then she will not be able to, do her plan. So she closed his eyes. And then Putana may run away. Putana may get fearful. And then Krishna said, oh, I am fearful of this wicked monstrous. He closed his eyes. There are more than 10 reasons about this. But in the interest of the time, we will just keep moving that how Krishna closed his eyes, and then this evil Putana put her breast in Krishna's mouth and desiring to feed in the guise to kill her, to kill the baby, to kill him. And Krishna sucked the poison. Krishna sucked the milk. Krishna sucked the very life air. And then she was in so much torrential pain, and she was saying, leave me, leave me, leave me. And Krishna would not leave. When Krishna holds someone, he stayed up. When Krishna holds someone, he does not leave. So this is the beauty of it. He's like Banka, like a bended. When Krishna holds someone, he does not leave. So Putna was screaming loudly and ferociously and torrential. Like it was like, people were not able to understand where is this extraordinary thunderbolt-like sound coming from. And then she, basically lost her life. Her prana was, taken by Krishna. And then also she expanded to her original size, which was about 12 miles long. Such a gigantic body Putna had, 12 miles long. Can you imagine? That's about 20 kilometers. And then she went and fell down in the gardens maintained by Kamsa. So it's interesting that she did not harm any Gopa or any Rajavasis. Rather, Kamsa, who deployed Putna to kill Krishna, when we, try to, what's that analogy? When we dig a hole for someone, we ourselves fall into that hole. Same thing. The Kamsa trying to use Putana to kill others, it became a cause of his own disturbance. When we try to plot evil things for others, it will come back. The law of karma, very simple. As we sow, so shall we reap. If we try to harm others, it will only harm our own self. This is also shown in this verse. And then there is beautiful description when she falls down, her teeth, her belly, and her eyes, and like wells, and so description like mountains. And because imagine 12-mile, 20 kilometers. It will, the Govardhan Parikrama, just to circumambulate, it takes about 6-7 hours to circumambulate, to do parikrama. So how big her body must be. And there is also a place now, if you go to that Mathura area, Vrindavan, Vajradham, you can also see that place. There is kind of a depression still there. So, and all the children were playing. Child Kṛṣna, sorry, the child was still there because child had not, the Kṛṣna, the baby child had not yet left her body. He was still on the upper part of Putana's body, and then came all the mothers, because the father was still, on his way back. But Mother Yashoda, Rohini, everyone, all the gopis were waved about the switch of a cow to give full protection. So basically, they, cow is very, very holy. We recently read in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam the Samudra Manthan Lila also, that how cow gave the Panchagavya. So in the Vrajdham, they would switch, they would wave the tail of the cow, they would do the cow urine, cow dung, everything is auspicious. Everything is very, very holy. Not only from the spiritual perspective, even modern science has, done a lot of research in this and developed so many medicines, even to cure, things like cancer, regulate the body's elements, kapha, vata, pitta, etc. So not only medically, but spiritually very, very potent. Therefore, it's used in Charanamrita, used in Abhishek of the deities. So that's coming from Ishuddha Mata. And then they purified Kṛṣna in multiple ways. So many wonderful lessons are there. And then what happened? A beautiful smell of agru, very, very fragrant smell was coming from Putana's body when they were trying to cut the body. Basically, when a snake was dead, they would, Prabhupada mentioned, Sadhanath Maharaj was mentioning that they would cut the snake in different parts. And in the village, there was notion that if we leave the snake kind of body like this, then the air somehow the snake could come back to life. So they would cut the body and then burn in the fire. But when this monstrous was being burnt in the fire, when the Gopas had cut in different parts, she was full of impurities, right? But can you guess? I think I already told, but very, very fragrant smell was coming. So can anyone, think about like why the fragrant smell was coming instead of evil, foul smell? Anyone?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, maybe because she was killed by the hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and somewhere I've read, even though she wanted to kill him, but Krishna she got an opportunity to at least feed or just give her breast to Krishna, and she's almost taken as her mother. Krishna is so merciful that he took her as her mother in spiritual world. So maybe that's why, Prabhuji. I don't know. I'm sorry if I've spoken something very wrong.
Thank you. That's correct. Anyone who comes in contact with Krishna, who is all pure, so any touch, basically they become Krishnais. So if matter comes in contact with spirit, the matter will become spiritualized or Krishnais. Therefore, when we offer food to Krishna, that is, ordinary matter, correct? But when it is in touch with Krishna, when Krishna has tasted it, and he can eat through his eyes also, through his glances also, Shubha Drishtipat, then that food is no more matter. That food is spiritual. It is all pure. It is all Krishna. Is anything in contact with Krishna. Therefore, it is not, we should not take anything, whether it is, so we can imagine even the dead body of that evil Rakshasi had become so pure. It was like grew like incense, fragrance. What to speak of direct flower offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, or tulasi offered at the lotus feet, or incense, or any paraphernalia. How much potency they have, or the bhoga offering. If done in the right consciousness, it is all pure. It is very, very purifying because everything gets Krishnized. So this is another great lesson, how to Krishnaize ourselves by being in more and more contact with the Supreme Lord through different elements, chanting, reading, hearing, the honoring prasadam, or smelling the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, incense, and the lamp, and things like that. Everything we can become spiritualized. So, and then what happens, the story kind of continues, and Srila Shukdev Goswami mentions that Putana got the position as a mother, as a dhatri. Aho bakiyam sthanakala kutam jigham sayapyad api asadvi lebhe gatim dhatri muchitam tatonyam kamba dayalu sharanam brajima. In this material world, okay, if person has even good consciousness to help, we may think twice. Oh, yes, he's trying to be very nice. Maybe he has some hidden agenda. Maybe he has some agenda to harm me. But look at Krishna. Even has someone grossly agenda to harm, Krishna does not see that. Krishna sees the little good she had, 1.001%. Oh, I want to feed this person as a mother. Krishna forgot everything else. Lord Padmanabha, his eyes are closed, and Lord Jagannath, his eyes are big. So showing, then when the question is about the fault, Lord closes the eyes. When the question is about good, the Lord magnifies his eyes, very big, like a magnifying glass, Lord Jagannath. But what happens to conditioned, materialistic, fallen souls like myself? When the question is about seeing good, I close my eyes. But when the question is about seeing the faults, I magnify those. This is the difference between materialistic people and pure devotees. Or Krishna. Ishwara swabhavir bhaktir nalay aparadha alpaseva bahumani atma prayant prasada. Krishna does not take faults. It does not mean we should become like Putin, or we should have that negative notion towards the Lord. The point is that Krishna only sees the good and ignores the bad. So this is a great quality which we can also try to learn. We should ignore the bad and only magnify the good. As Manjulali mentioned, everyone has their baggage. So this is anartha nivritti is not for others to tell, hey, you have this anartha, hey, you have this anartha. It is for us to be introspective, to meditate upon my own anarthas, so I can try to work on those. And in others, I only just magnify the good. It is not my responsibility to tell them what anartha they have. It is their teacher's responsibility, their guru, their spiritual master. In text number 37 and 38, Srila Shukdev Goswami mentioned basically here that a Putana like monstress who came to kill Krishna attained the transcendental position of a mother. Is it easy to become Krishna's mother? It is causeless mercy. What to be said of the cows whose nipples Krishna sucked with great pleasure and who offered their milk very jubilantly with affection, exactly like that of a mother? So in short, if one is that did very insignificant little good service to the Lord only saw that, and that too in the mood to kill. What to speak of someone who is trying to render Trying to render. You're not pure devotee, you're trying to render pure devotional service. And when we keep trying, Prabhupada said, fake it till you make it. We will one day be able to get there. We should not be hopeless, we should be helpless. And when we become helpless, when we see our anarthas, it should lead us to be more prayerful in our consciousness, more humble, more sincere, that Krishna, look at me, I have so many faults. I think I am great, but I have so many faults. I know. People may say, oh, you are great, you do this, you do that, but inside I know I have so many long way to go. So what to speak of someone who is sincerely trying to render his or her state? We cannot imagine if Putana, like monstrous, attained the stage of a mother. So Krishna searches for some reason, direct or indirect, to shower his mercy on the demons. What to speak of his devotees? What do I search for? Good or bad? It's a question I should ask myself. Krishna searches for reason to shower mercy. Oh, one reason. Oh, delivered. Ajamil. Oh, one time he said Narayan, forget about the past. Go, Vishnudutas, help him out. Little service with wrong mentality has so much value. What to speak of? The right intentions. And now we come to the anartha which Putana represents. So Putana represents pseudo guru. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj explain that Putana represents pseudo guru, or the guru who tries to mix the pure essence of scriptures and mix it with his or her own interpretations, or telling, oh, scriptures tell to enjoy world. After all, life is meant to enjoy sense gratification through his or her own speculation, or not giving the proper conclusions of bhakti, like we read yesterday, or His Grace Adigadar Prabhu explained that how Devanand Pandit initially, before he attained the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, was, kind of fits in this class, because he was speaking Bhagavatam devoid of bhakti. That's like a pseudo guru. Talking about Krishna consciousness, but talking about impersonalism, Mayavad. It is like the pure milk. The milk is pure, very, very healthy, but when touched with the serpent mouth, becomes impure. So we should be very, very careful and not hear from those pseudo gurus, not accept those pseudo gurus who are not giving the proper conclusions. So we should hear from proper bona fide parampara system. Evam parampara praptam, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So the scriptures are like the mother. The milk is like the pure knowledge. But the poison of impersonalism will, even one drop of milk, will anyone like to drink milk, which is very healthy? All like to drink milk. Most of, all people like to drink milk. But if I tell that it has one drop of poison, would anyone be interested to drink that milk? No, right? I would assume so. No. Similarly, sometimes a new person, Krishna is like baby in our heart. Baby in the sense, or the Bhakti Lata Bij is there. Guru Krishna Prasadapaya Bhakti Lata Bij. I have not matured in my Krishna consciousness. So even if 99%, someone may be speaking, okay, yeah, it seems okay. He's talking about Krishna, he's talking about Rama. But that 1% or even 0.1% of milk of impersonalism or one speculation can pollute, can poison the 99% also. Correct? So we should be very, very careful, especially in this day and age. I think I asked this question yesterday also. In this day and age, we should be very, very careful in whom we hear Krishna Katha from. And because we are not mature, I'm not mature in my bhakti, my Krishna is in a, or seed of devotion is very, very dormant stage. So it may not be able to, a pure devotee like Srivas Thakur, it does not matter. They will only take the essence. But for neophytes like myself, it certainly matters. So we should be very, very careful. So that's the pseudo guru, about one who is teaching wrong conclusions from scriptures. So that's one type of pseudo guru outside who is trying to give false interpretations. The second pseudo guru is our own, empirical inclinations. How can this be possible? Like one example coming to my mind again from yesterday's class, Gopala Chakravarti. When Haridas Thakur was explaining the glories of Harinam, how can this be possible? This seems to be an exaggeration. If this is true, my neck will fall, or your neck will fall. If this is false. So basically not having faith, thinking with our own rationale. Hey, how can Kachap avatar be 800,000 miles? Scripture said too much. This is impossible. The Dr. Frog mentality. How can this Mandara mountain be a golden mountain? I just want, maybe if I have 1 kilogram of gold, then I'll be very happy. Golden mountain, it seems to be impossible. Who has seen golden mountain? So this putting our own empiric logic, our own tiny intelligence to understand the infinite simul intelligence to understand infinite, we cannot understand through our own speculation. Bhakti is not a ascending process. Bhakti is descending process. Bhakti is not a commodity to buy in the market. Bhakti is a commodity to receive from parampara. Evam parampara praptam. This is received. This is not purchased. So we should not try to understand through our mundane logic, through our tiny intelligence, through the Dr. Frog mentality, the frog in the well trying to measure the depth and the width of the ocean through one's own body. You know the story, right? Yes, it's different. It's a little different there, yes. So even the Dr. Frog, the second story you shared, the woodcutter story, also actually very nicely fits in this connection, right? That how that person felt, no, I know better. I know how I will fix the situation if the animal attacks me. Well, the Guru Sadhu Shastra were telling, if you go, you will be, chopped off. They are much stronger than you. No, I know. I will make a tool, I'll make a weapon from the tree branch and I'll fix the situation myself. So having doubt in the words of Guru Sadhu Shastra will only lead to what happened to that woodcutter, our destruction, the destruction of our Krishna consciousness. It will take us away from the path of bhakti. So we should receive without doubt. I mean, see, and for a doubting person, Bhagavad Gita says there is no happiness in this world or the next. So that does not mean blind faith. It means we should have reasonable faith. If the doubts are there, we should ask in a proper way, tadvidi pranipati, in a pariprashnina sevaya, in a submissive way, not in a mood to challenge, hey, this is wrong, like how Gopala Chakravarti said, I know better, you don't know better. Not in the mood to challenge, not in the mood to prove I know better, but in a mood, my Guru Dev, my Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, somehow I'm having difficulty to understand this. Can you please help me? Can you please enlighten me? Can you please guide me how I can properly understand? That is fine. We're not saying to not ask questions. In fact, in ISKCON, at the end of every class, practically, every speaker, ask to have any questions in this subject, etc. So this is about Putana, the two gurus, one outside and one's our own corrupted mind, corrupted speculative intelligence, Dr. Frog mentality, and the other outside. Maya Bhada Bhasha Shune Hoila Sarvanash. We should be very, very careful, not hear from any Tom, Dick, Harry. Sometimes, people say, oh, well, my uncle's, Chachi and Mosi's brother, this told me that we should do this. This is not the way to achieve bhakti. We should hear from qualified people, parampara praptam, not from any Tom, Dick, Harry. What is their integrity, as Adhikar Prabhu said? Are they following the principles of pure spiritual life, Gaudiya Vaishnavism? Are they following the parampara system? It's a big topic, who is the right spiritual master, but this is some of the lessons and reflections of what does Putana represent? The pseudo-guru propensity. And Krishna sees only the good. And so many wonderful lessons are there in this. And then one important lesson that no one can perpetually cheat or control. So if someone tries to have Putana-like mentality, that means karmi in the disguise of a devotee. And then he or she may be able to cheat someone maybe extract some money out of someone, maybe get some fame, name by some evil agendas. But no one can perpetually do that. Ultimately, Guru Sadhu Shastra, Param Vijate Shri Krishna Sankirtan. Ultimately, Dharma will win. Ultimately, by higher powers, one's power ultimately gets nullified and one's real colors get revealed to the world. So one may try to trick others for a short time, but Krishna will establish Dharma, Dharma Sansthapanat. He will arrange through his devotees or himself or through his energies, like how Putana's real agendas came out very soon. Shortly, she could, trick others, but not for long. And those who want to cause harm to God or godly people are themselves ruined. One more lesson, contact with Krishna spiritualizes matter. Krishna's transcendental touch purifies both the bodies and the heart, even of the most wicked demons. So beautiful. And one more, Krishna's nature is to find some opportunity to show mercy even to the demoniac people. So these are so many beautiful lessons, and we can meditate upon, we can try. So if anyone has any comments or questions, additions, so sorry we're a little over time, but I hope you are all very, very merciful and just take the good, and if there is any, it's all because of Granth Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and the Guru Parampara. It's nothing is ours. It's just trying to repeat the message. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yeah, please.
So here, I really like this point where Krishna is just looking for the opportunity to shower his mercy upon anyone and everyone who does a little good. So similarly, as devotees, we should not try to look for faults, because we should also have the qualities that the Lord has. So Lord is not looking for any faults, so we should also not look for any faults, because as we mentioned before, that it becomes another anartha or problem that we have to deal with, the criticism. And the other thing, reflection, is that Sputna represents fake guru, and we, of course, it is also represented by demon Keshi, but we can still meditate that we should also kill this tendency of becoming fake gurus in ourselves. Because as soon as we spend some years, we feel that we have the authority to instruct, but we should be very, very careful in our attitude and what are we instructing. Is it based on Guru Sadhu and Shastra? Just because we have spent some years, it doesn't mean that we can say anything and everything. It should still, as a solution to this problem of Putana, is to depend on Guru Sadhu and Shastra. We should try to kill this tendency in our own selves to be fake gurus. Also, as Prabhupada says, this is another aspect to it, that Prabhupada says that if we have we know that there are 4 defects in us. One of them is a tendency to cheat or to be cheated. So if we are insincere, if we want to be cheated, then Krishna will take us to the fake gurus. Krishna will take us to person who are not at all speaking scriptures, and we'll be deviated. Or even if they're speaking some scripture, there are up-sampradayas or wrong philosophies, deviated philosophies, if we are insincere. But if we are sincere, Krishna will guide us to the right path. So Prabhupada says, if we want to be cheated, then Krishna has ample supply of pseudo-gurus also. So it really depends upon our sincerity, our receptivity of what we want. If we want to enjoy the material world, then Krishna will supply ample gurus, pseudo-gurus, who will give us the opportunity to enjoy material world, and we'll have the stamp of so-called spiritual life. Also, as devotees, we should be very, very careful of whom we are hearing from. It also just not limits us to Mayavad and impersonalism, but it goes down to anyone who is deviated from the philosophy. Because Prabhupada says that we should have this fear of Maya. We should always be scared of having a fall down. We should always be scared, because Maya can attack us anytime, any moment. So if we are hearing something from someone which is totally wrong, contrary, or deviated, anytime Maya can attack us, and we will be gone from a Krishna conscious journey. So we have to be careful in all these aspects. Would anybody else like to add anything or ask anything?
Prabhuji and Mataji, why does Putana represent a pseudo guru? Is it because she dressed up as a beautiful lady and tried to come and cheat others?
Yeah, basically, these commentaries are given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So the answer is yes, as you said, like, externally something, but internally something. That represents pseudoness or crookedness or fake. So to be not in and out the same.
Thank you.
Like the other demons, they came most of them in the demoniac form. Most of them. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji and Prabhuji, Danat Pranam, All Guru Shri Prabhupada. Such a wonderful class. It's so nice seeing both of you together and preaching very, very nicely. I wish to someday get your association and hear from you personally. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your association, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Please bless us. Okay, so if there are no additional comments or questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Prabhuji,
you.
thank you.
Thank you for
I
your
turned
blessing.
you. Yeah, I was listening in the car and because I had to leave quick because I'm going to be in the temple volunteering now for the canteen. So please forgive me that I turned you off and turned on again. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your association and blessings. So we can pause here. It's already a little over time, but we are so grateful for all of your association, prayers, and blessings. If there's any shortcoming, please, you are Sargrahis. Ignore that as our personal shortcoming. If there is anything good, it is all from Guru Sadhu Shastra and the wonderful Brahma Madhava Bhagavata. So, Guru Gaurachandra, Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha.
Namo Namo. Thank you very much.
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Purāṇ ki Jai.
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 Samaveta Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hey Krishna.